How do you then relate to other people? Because, most of the ways where we disagree with other people when we're trying to sell them or convince them or coach them, the ways we approach that, they end up either not working or they work in the very short term or they make the situation worse.
Welcome to episode 636 of the TW3 Podcast, the show that equips entrepreneurs and business owners with the tools, strategies, and mindsets to build the life and business they were made for. Today's episode is titled, Who Are You? And no, we're not talking about your favorite song from The Who. We're talking about something way more important, self-awareness. Because let's face it, how can you lead a team, serve your customers, or sell your value if you haven't taken time to truly understand who you are, what drives you, and how you show up in the world? In this episode, Terry dives into how self-awareness is the foundation of great leadership, authentic branding, and clear communication. And later in the show, he sits down with transformation strategist Mitch Weisburgh of MindShifting with Mitch to talk about how rewiring your thinking can unlock the clarity, confidence, and purpose you need to break through the barriers holding you back. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure of what's next, this episode is your invitation to pause, reflect, and recalibrate. So grab a notebook, take a deep breath, and get ready to answer the question, who are you?
Become an elite TW3 member today and gain access to our mastermind group.
The way you get into things is, for someone like me, it's great to be around.
Terry, you have made a huge impact in my life. I'm so grateful that God has brought you into my life.
You're the genuine article. You live what you talk about.
Right now, Terry, I am so inspired after listening to you for the last 25, 30 minutes. You got me so jazzed up.
I'm still blown away by your story because with that, you just bring so much experience.
When I think of Terry Wilson, I think about the comeback kid.
Oh, I think today is just demoed exactly the brilliance that you share.
I truly believe the only way to go to the next level is to grow to the next level.
Take your personal growth to the next level by joining the TW3 Mastermind Group today.
You're listening to TW3.com.
TW3.com.
Inspiring, informative, and entertaining content for the entrepreneur and small business owner. Here's your host, Terry Wilson.
This is episode 636, and I have an easy question to ask and a hard question to answer. And I want you to really think about it. I think this is going to be a question that if you take the time to really dig into it, it's going to help you be a better business person, business owner, salesperson, entrepreneur, goal seeker, husband, wife, child, parent, because it's at the core of your existence, and that is this. Who are you? Who are you? The good book says we're fearfully and wonderfully made, which is true. But how did he make us? What did he put inside us? What's our personality types? What's our cognitive functions? How do we think? How do we speak? How do we reason? How do we rationale? What sets us apart and makes us different from other people? Sometimes when people take the journey to trying to figure themselves out, and part of figuring yourself out, by the way, is trying to understand what's really you and what has been put on you from others that you're in this role-playing game. Well, this is the role I play in the circle that I frequent. This is who I'm, the clown in the family. I'm expected to tell all the jokes. Or I am the anchor. I'm the serious person. I'm the one that everybody depends on to be, the serious guy, or whatever role it is that you have. We all play these roles, and we've all had these conditions. Life has conditioned us to play roles. And we all have responsibilities, and to the extent that you have to keep your responsibilities up, that's wonderful. but it can also be a detriment to you if it doesn't allow you to see, understand, and appreciate who you are. And you say, Terry, what does this got to do with business? It has everything to do with business. Has everything. You're not going to be the best communicator to your staff. You're not going to be the best salesperson or communicator to your customers. You're not going to be able to be that leader that you need to be in your industry, in your business, in your sector, and whatever influence you have. You're not going to be a great marketer. I mean, just from a practical standpoint, this July, it'll be 17 years at TW3. You're giving businesses the tools, training, and technology they need to take their money business life to new levels. But I could sell you the latest, greatest technology that will reach thousands of people with one push of a button. But here's the thing. If you don't understand the value of your product, good, or service and how you bring it to life with who you are and your business and what your business is about, and then understand the perception of the market that you're calling on, your messaging will not resonate, which means your conversion rates go down, which means you spend all of this money and get nothing for it. That's the value, if you want to know, just the practical value of knowing who you are. Answering, who am I? Why am I here? I remember an old presidential debate with, I think it was the George H. Bush when he was running against someone and one of the vice president candidates. That's right, because it was Ross Perot's vice president candidate that was in a debate with, I think it was Dan Quayle and Al Gore. Is a three-way debate, and he was this older gentleman. I just remember it was so funny. He was quoting somebody, "Who am I? Why am I here?" Yeah, that shows my age. But today, that's the focus of this podcast. The focus of this podcast is trying to give you a resource and some clarity on how to truly understand who you are. We've had several podcasts in the past to talking about, some of our cognitive functions that makes up, how we think, the 8 dichotomies of what makes you who you are, which is going to inform how you speak, how you understand, how you communicate, how you receive information, and why you interpret certain information a certain way. We've gotten into that. We've gotten into, how it's going to make you a better leader, a better communicator. But today, I really want to dig in it, and I've got a special guest that's going to come on here in just a second. And him and I are going to talk. And he is a mind-shifting coach. He's going to teach you how to shift, reframe the way you see things, think about things, you interpret things. And it's all for the purposes of you being able to be better at to get clarity, to achieve the goals. Because out of every obstacle I've ever faced, financial obstacles, health obstacles, resources of business and different things. As a business owner, you have all of these obstacles that you're going to face. But let me tell you, your toughest opponent is not that business down the road that does and sells like things. Your toughest opponent is that guy, that gal that looks at you every morning in the mirror as you brush your teeth. And to the point that you can understand that person, their strengths, their weaknesses, how they think, what they think is how it's different, set apart from others. The level you can start to really wrestle that person into submission or submitting to who they are and understanding it, the better your life is going to be all the way around. It just is. It just is. So I'm excited about today's conversation because I think for your business, for your ability to lead, for your ability to communicate, for your ability to be a better marketer, it's just going to make everything better. So when you have those one-on-one components, appointments, these one-on-one appointments, and the customer is not connecting with you or not understanding the value that you're trying to present. By having some of these tools and understanding these distinctions, it's just going to make you, because here's the thing that has drove me crazy for years. Let me tell you a little inside secret. And I detest this, but that's because it's against my personality type, and I get it. So this isn't saying I'm right. It's not saying I'm wrong. It's just saying this is who I am. But one of the things that's just always aggravated me is this incessant need by many people, lots of people, most people, I'll put it out there. I'll be the weirdo. Terry, give me a script. Give me a step-by-step. Say this when I'm on the phone with a customer, with a client. And here's the problem I have with that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you can't anticipate every objection that you're ever going to have. And that script, while it coming from me, my personality, my understanding fits me, it might not fit you. And then, so you've got a different personality, a different way of delivering a message. And then you're speaking to someone, God knows who you, there's with 8 dichotomies that make up a person's personality. And then you have cultural influences and you have, demographical influences. By the time you get all of that filtration, the point is this, it's not the step-by-step word upon word that you got to memorize. And that's what everybody wants. Give me a script. I just want to read this. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. My name is fill in the blank. Today, I would like to talk. Rather than giving you that, I would rather equip you to say, this is who you are. This is how you think. This is your personality type. This is how it's different from everybody else. So when you're speaking to someone on the fly, right there in the moment, you can say, oh, this is a person with this particular type of judging function, or this is a person with this type of perception function. This is how they perceive the world. So I need to make sure I modify the way I would want to speak and make sure I speak in these, so that you could do that on the fly. You can modify so that you're not just, John Maxwell says this, and I love it. At least I attribute it to him. I think he's the first person I heard say, he says, everybody communicates, but very few people connect. So you can be a robot. Hello, today I would like to talk to you. Or you could be a real person with a real personality that is speaking from your heart, speaking the way you speak. And then you're recognizing, because you're on a Zoom call like we train, not just on a phone, so I can see your face and say, okay, we're connecting, we're not connecting, okay. And then I say something a little bit different. So I hear that, and then I start asking questions to pull information out. Those are the tools that I think will better serve you as a business person, especially if you're in marketing, especially if you're in sales, especially if you're a coach, you're on the phone, you're speaking to people. There's not a script in the world that's going to allow you to connect with every person you speak with. But understanding who you are and having these tools and understanding the distinction between who you are and the various variables out there that make other people who they are is going to give you the tools to bridge the gap between you and them. And now every time I'm on the phone, every time. That's what I was talking about in our mastermind Monday night. My sales, quote unquote, my sales pitch is the information is the same every time, but the way it's delivered, it's completely different. It's like music. I want to play this song, but if you put me in front of an audience and I say, oh, this is a country western audience, they want to hear it with some twang, then I'm going to take that song, the same song with the same lyrics, the same chord progressions, but I'm going to put a country influence on that so it connects to them. And then I'm in another audience and they want more of an R&B backbeat groove. Well, then I am going to take that same song and I'm going to put that influence on. Why? Because the message is the same. What I want to say, what I'm about, my attitudes towards life, the lyrics of the song is the same. But the way I present it is going to change based on the rooms I'm in. And that's the difference between just giving people a sheet music and saying, here's the chord structure, here's the lyrics. But you've got to be equipped to be able to influence that song differently so it connects with a different audience. And the more you can do that, the more successful your business is and your one-on-one meetings and the way you manage people. Because motivating Tom is going to be the way you motivate him is going to be completely different than the way you motivate Sally. So I am really excited about the content of today's podcast. I want you to take notes. The links to Mitch's website, his books, everything's going to be in this particular podcast, episode 646. And I'm going to ask you, share this. If this, I think, and it's like I was telling him in the interview, understanding these principles has not only made me a better business person, better marketer, better leader, it's made me a better husband. It's made me a better father. It's made me a better friend. Because the more I can understand who I am for the purposes of understanding how I'm different so I can connect to how other people are. See, this is not self-indulgent. A lot of times when people talk about self-discovery and self-actualization and getting to know who you are, yes, if you are a narcissist, it can be self-indulging. But I'm not advocating that. I'm advocating it for the purposes so you can be that person that connects with people. You know, Paul says it this way in the good book, I become all things to all people so one can be saved. What is he saying? That I compromise on my principles, that I have no values, I have no, that I'm wishy-washy? No. He's saying, I see the differences in different people, and I've got this burning message in me, and to the extent that I need to modify so I can connect with them, I'm going to do that. Well, we're all called to do that. And so I think today's podcast and what we talk about is going to give you the tools and hopefully the inspiration. And if you'd like a free one-on-one here, I would love to help you. That's what our coaching program is all about. I am a practitioner for the Myers-Briggs MBTI system. So we can do a test, and that little quick questionnaire and testing, it'll give you exactly your 8, or your major cognitive functions. And so that's going to inform you of how you think, how you speak, how you understand, a little bit more about you. And then it's going to illuminate how other people are different, so that when you're out there and you're trying to motivate someone, or you're trying to persuade someone, or you're trying to convey a message for your business or whatever, you're going to have the best tools and resources. And then we've got Mitch on here today, and he's going to be sharing go get his book. He's going to be sharing about his book. I think it's going to be really helpful for you, to help you as well. So after this break, I'll be coming back, and I'll be in the studio live with Mitch right after this.
You are listening to TerryWilson3.com, the home of TW3, the platform to start, scale, and support your business. Attention business owners, for a very limited time, we are offering to list your business on over 50 top business directories, completely free. This is a $500 value at no cost to you, but only for a short time. We guarantee you will see an increase in inbound calls, website traffic, and search visibility within just days. Don't miss this opportunity to get your business found fast. Call now to claim your free listing before this offer expires. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Call us now at 864-507-9696.
That's 864-507-9696.
When words are not enough to really show your heart.
When you want to send more than just words, send your best, send your blessing, send a gift that speaks to the heart.
Flower shop. When feelings need demonstrated right from.
Go to Blessed Blooms Flower Shop and Gifts.com to have Amy design a special message, gift, or arrangement for you today.
Flower shop. Blessed blooms.
Give a gift that speaks to the heart. From flowers to specialized gifts.
Blessed blooms Flower Shop and Gifts.
Call today, 864-702-3307. That's 864-702-3307. Business can sometimes be hard.
Make it easier with TW3.
And now back to our show with Terry Wilson.
Guys, we got a special treat for you today. I am on the other phone and the other line right now with a mindset coach and author and guru that has helped thousands of people. Today, I've got a treat for you, especially if you're a high performer, a go-getter, or just someone looking for a mental breakthrough. Or maybe you're working through some roadblocks that you're trying to get through with your business life or anything that you're trying to go to the next level. I'm joined with Mitch Weisburgh, founder of MindShifting with Mitch, and you can go over to mindshiftingwithmitch.com to check him out. Mitch is a transformational strategist and mindset coach who has helped people rewire how they think so they can get unstuck, crush limiting beliefs, and operate from a place of clarity, confidence, and purpose. He's worked with entrepreneurs, leaders, and professionals from all walks of life who are ready to stop reacting and start leading with intention. If you've ever felt like success was close but just a little bit out of reach, or you've hit a ceiling that you can't seem to break through, well, this is a conversation that I want you to pay close attention to because I think it's going to help you. Mitch, how are you doing?
Terry, thank you very much. And how do I get in touch with that guy? Like, he sounds great. Much better than me.
Come on now. Don't be humble now. You need to wear the clothes that the good Lord's given you, right?
Right. You do. Thank you.
Yeah. So nothing wrong with letting people know that I have been gifted and given this opportunity to help people, and I've got this thing, and because there's so many, I don't know if you're like me, but especially in today's world with I've been saying this alliterated phrase since 2020, since pandemics, politics, and pandemonium. It just seems like everybody is just twisted up, and that seeps through all parts of life, and especially if you're a business owner out there and you're trying to be creative and you're trying to stay focused and you're trying to develop messages that have clarity so that it breaks through the noise. Well, a good message comes from a good mindset, doesn't it?
The mindset is the source, basically, of everything that you do. Yeah. So what I call what I do, is mind shifting, and as you say, it's all around mindsets. And to me, there's three parts to that. It's being resourceful, and it's being resilient, and it's being collaborative. And when you go through the steps of becoming resourceful, being able to access the most resilient and resourceful parts of your own brain and turn off the ones that are holding you back. And then when you become resilient, which is to be able to roll with the situation and maintain a sense of curiosity and play as you're undergoing unforeseen events that you might regard as failure, or you can just regard as information. And then the third part of that is collaboration, because no matter what you're going to be doing it with other people. And sometimes they're going to get in your way. Sometimes they're going to oppose you. Sometimes they're going to try to harm you. Sometimes you don't like them. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to be working with them and having relationships with them anyhow. And you have to come up with ways of moving forward, or you're just going to be blocked. And so to me, that's what I teach, is those three areas.
Yeah, that's so good. That is so good. And, I guess it's based on the personality type. I don't know if you have found this, but you take a person, male, female, doesn't matter the gender, but they're very driven, very goal oriented. They're the people that have launched out to do this thing, to start this thing, pursue this goal. Sometimes that last part, that collaboration, at least it's been in my experience, that seems to be the toughest hurdle for that personality type. Don't you? I mean, is that just my experience, or have you found that as well?
No, I think part of it is because we all get focused on what we want to accomplish. But if you really think about it, whether you're selling or you're managing or you're coaching, basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to communicate in a way to get people to do what's good for them. And a lot of that deals with your mindset and how you regard yourself interacting with them as you're doing it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Well, I've got some questions I wanted to, since we scheduled this a while back, I thought, well, when I have Mitch on the show, I definitely want to ask him about this. Yeah, you talk about mind shifting, and you broke that down to what that actually means. How is it different, though, from just traditional mindset coaching in your perspective?
So I think when when people deal with mindset coaching, they're really dealing with only one aspect of the whole universe of things that we have to understand about the way our mind works and the way we react to situations. And so I really try to pull information from fields such as cognitive science, psychology, military strategy, economics, neuroscience, and other fields to try to pull it together to understand. I mentioned earlier the parts about your own mind is first, how do we become aware when our own minds are blocking us? That's kind of the first step of resourcefulness. And then once we're aware that our minds are blocking us, that we might be in fight or flight mode, where we have this big client who's going to leave us, or we have an employee who's really difficult, and we're thinking we're getting angry or we're getting anxious. How do we can't be resourceful when we're anxious and when we're in fight and flight mode. So how do you quiet those parts of the brain? And then the third part of being resourceful is then how do you tap into our own ability of, it happens to be our prefrontal cortex, to think critically, to think creatively, to use executive function, to be in growth mindset. And so the first part to me about mindsets is understanding how to control our own minds. And then the second part of that is to be taking a look at results. Like if we're running a business, we're probably very good at a lot of different things. And so we very often go into situations with the expectation that there's one right answer, and we either have it or we're quickly going to find it out, and then we're going to do it and we're going to succeed. And how often does that happen? Like never. There are situations that I call those simple situations. They're obvious situations. There are situations like that where there really is one right answer. But to recognize that that's a type of situation, but another type of situation is one where we need more information, where we might need expertise, where we might need analysis. And you would approach that type of a situation very different from a simple situation. And with those, there's probably many different things that could work. And the key thing that's going to work is when you come up with one of those solutions and everybody gets behind it. So your emphasis changes from I'm going to ram through this solution to I'm going to find one of the solutions that's going to work, and the team is going to coalesce around one of them, and we're all going to work together. And then a third type of situation is where something is brand new, and a lot of things we're working with people are like that. It's brand new. We can't predict it. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and we can look back in hindsight and say, oh, we should have done that, or we did do that, and that's why it worked. But looking forward, we could never come up with what to do. And in those situations, the way we need to approach those situations is to try different things and learn from them. And that takes away when you learn that attitude, and when you learn the mechanisms for experimenting and doing probes and using feedback, using information as feedback rather than as judging success or failure, then that whole idea of grit and persistence kind of melts away, because you're not expecting that you're going to take one step forward and it's going to solve the problem. You're expecting you're going to take one step forward, you're going to look around, and then you're going to say, oh, this is the next thing I should do. And then you're going to take another step, and then you're going to look around. And so, it becomes a lot easier to cope with different things that happen that we didn't expect. And then, to me, again, the third part about mind shifting that's different from just mindset is how do you then relate to other people? Because most of the ways where we disagree with other people when we're trying to sell them or convince them or coach them, the ways we approach that, they end up either not working, or they work in the very short term, or they make the situation worse, like rewards and punishments. But there's actually 5 different styles. And when you learn the 5 different styles and the style that you're most comfortable with, but you learn the other 4 styles as well, you're a lot more flexible. And so that's kind of the first part about working with people. The second part of working with people is that if you want to achieve something long-term with people, you have to understand how to connect with them. And kind of, if you're in sales and you're managing a company, you kind of know that. But to be able to codify it and say, something, I'm going to use I'm going to use motivational interviewing, or I'm going to use nonviolent communication, or I'm going to use spin selling, or, to be able to pull out the techniques to be able to connect with people and have people talk about what they want to accomplish and what they're afraid of. And so you can work together. That's the second part. And then the third part is, it's one thing to connect with people, but your goal is to accomplish something. So how do you now take that connection and work with people so that you can move forward? And so to me, that's different from, say, just dealing with mindsets, because you're dealing with all aspects of the myriad problems that we're all dealing with, especially people who are running a business.
Oh, that's great. Because when I first started in business and got into management, leadership, and sales, and was dependent upon my ability to communicate and connect with others, I was such a neophyte in the fact that I just assumed everyone thought and understood like I did. I just come from this place, well, this is what this means to me. And of course, when I say it this way, frame it this way, communicate it this way, everyone is going to just...
Right. Yeah. And
and it wasn't until I took some courses and you were just saying so many things, it was just reminding me back of some of the stuff with the NLP stuff that
with NLP, right? Yep.
Yeah, and Myers-Briggs, some of the cognitive functions with that, with the personality. I was like, even it's so good. I think it's been such a utility for me just to understand, number one, from a analytical, scientific way of this is how I think. This is what my thinking looks like, and this is how it's different from other people. Not to judge one better than the other, but just to really start to highlight how I'm different and how they're different, and sort of take on the responsibility of trying to bridge those gaps of our differences as a leader.
And did you find that when you were able to acknowledge some of those differences, that what you ended up coming up with them was better than you could have come up with on your own?
100. It's helped me in every part of my life, my marriage, my children, and I took this, of course, because it was a business thing. I wanted to do better as a manager, as a marketing person, as a leader, as a communicator, a podcaster. It was all for, enriching my professional career. But the fruits of that, of course, was that. Plus, all of my personal relationships just got so much better.
And my guess is, because you run these mastermind groups, my guess is that's one of the focuses of the mastermind. When somebody joins one of your masterminds and for 6 months or a year or 10 years, that's a lot of what they get out of it, right?
Absolutely. And what we try to do is take the philosophical realm, the way we think, and the way we communicate, and then even drill that down to, and this is how you apply it in technology, because a lot of what what we do is equipping business owners with these various tools to either manage their business or market their business, CRMs and email systems and text systems, not to get bored in the weeds of all that techno mumbo stuff. But the content you put in those things is going to have a huge part in the success you're able to, to harvest out of them. And that all comes from the way we
mindset.
And
your book, right? So Terry, your book, You Are Worth More.
Yeah.
My guess is a lot of that is in there also.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Because like I said, I'm a huge proponent of what you're talking about and speaking about, because I am a benefactor of taking courses and studying with coaches like you. Because it's opened my eyes to what you don't see, and what most people don't see is, I think you understand it from a surface level that, my wife is different, or this customer, or this employee, or this manager over here is different. That's just Bob. But why is Bob Bob? And when you can start getting into it, I always loved music. But when I started taking music and understanding music theory, understanding chord progressions, and understanding how audio works, there's me and my wife joke all the time. Her parents were deaf. My parents come from a musical background. So I always tell people she listens to music, but she don't hear it. And
yeah, I can see that.
You know, because I'm hearing the chord changes and the timbres of the different songs and how the engineer even mixed it in a certain way. And, you know, why? Not because it's just I studied it. And I think when you study these things like you're talking about, it just brings people's personalities and who they are. You appreciate them more. You appreciate where they're coming from more. And I think that actually helps you connect with them because, you know, I think John Maxwell's the one that coined the phrase, and if he's not the one, he's the one to give credit to. Mm-hmm. He says, but everybody communicates, but very few people know how to connect. And if you want to persuade, you got to connect. And the way you connect is I have to have understanding. I have to have empathy. I got to know, where is Mitch coming from? Why did he say that? What's driving that? You know, I got to understand a little bit your filters. Mm-hmm. And then how my filters make that look and sound different. And by doing that, I can get on the same page with you. Might not mean that I think the same way you do. We might not even agree.
Right.
But at least we're connecting now, and it's an honest connection. You know, we don't have these, you know, these personalities that's clustering or, you know, camouflaging things or, you know, all these other things. I love what you do. Absolutely love. And I love what you said. It brought all those things that I've done.
Really? Yeah.
It's like, boom, 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 boom. I heard all this. Well, that's great. Well, you know, a lot of business owners out there, solopreneurs I work with, business, just like anything you do that's important to you, it has its ups, its downs, its ebb and flows. But there's one thing that we all have to learn how to work with at times, and that's stress. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about, what does stress do? I think everybody knows, it makes me feel heavy, or I feel this tightness, or I feel they get the emotional component. But can you dive into, but what is that actually doing and how it's affecting their decision making and their outlook and communication and all that? Can you speak to that any?
So that's a very heavy question because it affects us in so many different ways. There's the stress that I have, and then also the stress that the other person has, whoever I'm relating to. And if I want to move forward with another person, we both have to be in resourceful mode, which means if I'm going to drive that, before I can connect with that person, first of all, I have to lower my own stress. Because when we're in stress, we're going to be reacting from a part of our mind that's basically our survival mind. The scientists might call it, the limbic brain. And so when we're using that limbic brain, we are reacting to situations really quickly. That part of the brain starts, basically wakes up in 2/100ths of a second. And it primarily works initially by freeze, fight, or flight. So, just stop like a deer in headlights, or run away, or fight. Or over time, we build up our things that we're good at, our habits, okay? And so we don't have to think about those. Or the fifth way is we're copying what everybody else is doing. And when we're copying it, we're not just copying their words, but we're copying their emotions. We're mimicking them. And so when we're in stress, we're only reacting that way. We don't have access to our ability to think critically. We don't have access to take in new information. We don't have access to be creative. We don't have access to connect with people, to executive function. We can't do any of those things because our limbic brain is secreting stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, which are inhibiting the ability of our higher order cognitive functions of working at all. So there's really, when the first step in being able to overcome those is to be aware that you're going into those, that we're doing that. I would call that the interrupter. That's the first thing is, oh my gosh, I'm in limbic mode. I'm just doing something because I've always done it that way, or I'm angry, or I'm afraid. And so the first step is self-awareness. The second step is sometimes that's enough, by the way, just realize, oh my gosh, I'm in limbic mode. I can stop. You've probably done that. I've done it. It's like, why am I acting this way? And then I can just move. But sometimes you can't, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you can positive self-talk yourself. It's like, well, what would I love? Okay. Or, gee, something I'm sure I can't do this, but if I could do it, what would I do next? So sometimes positive self-talk can get you out of that mode. And then the third thing is some type of distraction. And the distraction could be a walk. It could be listening to music. It could be, meditation or mindfulness. It could be doing exercise, whatever it is that allows you to change your focus of your brain to something else other than whatever it is that's causing you anxiety or anger or whatever will help calm you down. So those are the three things that you can do by yourself. Sometimes even that's not enough and you need somebody else. Like, I was really, really angry with somebody. And I did all three of those, and it's like I'm still angry. Like I can't handle this. So my kids are adults, so I called my son, and so it's like his name is Herbie. So it's like, Herbie, like I'm just really angry. I can't do it. I need to be able to calm down. And he's like, Daddy, you wrote the book. You know what to do. I'm just going to get the book out and I'm going to read to you some of the things that you said to do. And just having another person calm me down like that was enough. And it was like, okay, I got it. So there's three things that you can do for yourself: self-awareness, positive self-talk, mindfulness or distraction, or if you have somebody who's pretty knowledgeable, it could be a therapist, it could be a relative, that can calm you down. And then the interesting thing is that when you're dealing with other people and you're upset, their mirror neurons in their brains are going to cause them to be upset. If you're happy and you can maintain that curious, playful demeanor, eventually that's going to wear them down and they're going to be happy too. But sometimes you have to make a game out of it. Like, and you see this in sales, like, okay, I'm going to come back 5 times with closes, and I'm going to see if one of those 5 times. So you don't get upset the first time you try to close and the other person doesn't close, right? It's just like, that's my first one. I'm going to try 2 more, and then I'm going to try 1 more. So if you can make a game out of it, something, I'm going to see if I can maintain my calm demeanor through 10 questions, and if that calm demeanor can calm them down, and more times than not, if you can do it, then yeah, they'll come down, and then once you connect, that's when you can start moving forward. Yeah. So I think that was a much longer answer, and I'm sorry.
No. I just know that in business, with our audience, I get a lot of emails, a lot of questions, and a lot of times you can read the tone and you can sort of hear the anxiety and stress in some of it, because they're obviously when they're writing in, they're looking for solutions. And so when you're looking for solutions, that means you have questions. And sometimes those questions are coming with, I need to get this problem solved.
Right.
And that's totally reasonable. Sure. But I just know from my own personal experience, if you don't manage stress manages you, and it will manage you in a place you don't want to go.
Right.
I love what you said there. I'm going to use those. I've also, and people have been following me, I've adopted a little bit of a health journey. I mean, at one point I was over 300 pounds. And I've learned one thing: if you need to move, have something daily that you get some activity. It's amazing how just being active a little bit. I mean, you don't have to be a gym bro. I'm not saying that unless you want to be, but just going out for a walk for 30 minutes a day does a lot.
And a walk in nature.
Yes.
If you can do that, that has stress reducing and so many health benefits. Just 10 minutes walking in the woods, walking in the desert, breathing the air. Exactly.
Yeah. As the body moves, the brain grooves. There's new neurons.
Wow. Love that one.
Yeah. So, and just as a practical thing, I can always, you were talking about self-awareness. I can always tell when I'm this is my tell if I'm under stress, because going back to studying some of these things about our cognitive functions and how we think, one of the things I picked up early on was one of the effects that stress can have on you, not all the time, but it can, is it can actually invert your cognitive function. So for me, like my perception, the way I perceive things is actually through intuition. It's not through a sensory thing where it's detailed. I'm more big picture. Well, when I'm under stress, I'm start looking at all the finite things. When I start seeing myself do that, or when my judging function, if I'm using a very value-based judging function rather than a logic-based, because I'm very logical when it comes to my judging function, if I start going in that and I call it, I'm in my feelings, so I must be under stress, because all of a sudden I'm trying to make decisions and things based in business just because of it's not a logical, let's add all this up and see what this comes out to, and let's think through clearly, rationally, and logically, which is where I'd want to be. But it's more like, I just don't like the way he looked at me.
Right.
If I'm in that area, I know, okay, Terry, go for a walk. Not a good day. All right. Let's see here. You said that many people are addicted to being busy, but not necessarily productive. What's the cost of that in business as you see it, and how can a mind shift help that?
Well, I think that the way really our limbic systems, our survival instincts work is we should be doing something. And so we're not comfortable with the fact that we may not have an answer yet. And so our survival systems are saying, oh, you do this and then you do this. And of course, while you're doing it, you're also thinking, oh my gosh, but I should be doing this also. Let me stop this. And then you don't get back to it. And so you end up multitasking or not doing anything really well and moving from item to item and not really thinking through things. When you think about the times where we make the most difference are really the times where we're curious and playful and exploratory. And so if you do have the self-awareness and you kind of look at it and say, wow, I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this. And it's like, well, something, maybe it's time for me to just like chill for a minute, and you won't feel good about it initially, right? Because you think, but I should be doing something. But if you can do that, and again, making a game out of it is something that is a way of kind of fooling your brain into doing it, then you'd be amazed. That's when your intuition is, that's when it becomes strongest, is that you just quieted all of those voices that are telling you all the different things to do so that you can tap into your higher order thinking powers and creatively synthesize things and put things together that you never would have done if you had just still been focused on those details.
Yeah. It's that old metaphor of the guys that were trying to chop down a tree, and the guy that kept going back to sharpen his axe won the race. You've heard that metaphor. This is older gentleman that was going up against this young brooding guy, and he challenged him to who could chop the trees down the quickest. And he was making fun of this older gentleman that just quit every 15 minutes and would go away for 10 minutes and then come back. He didn't realize he was just going to keep sharpening his axe. And of course, as the story goes, but that's what it reminds me of.
Wow.
Just taking that time. And for you business owners out there, I know it's sometimes it's hard to give yourself permission for downtime because you feel like you're being derelict in duty of not working 24/7 and not always being on and not always trying, but it is for your benefit, your employees' benefits, and everyone that's involved and dependent upon your business to take that time and refresh.
And that voice that's telling you that you need to be doing something, psychologists call that your part X voice. That part X voice is always telling you that whatever you're doing isn't good enough. And sometimes it's very helpful to, instead of saying, like, I feel I should be doing something, I feel I have to do this, is to say, you know something? My part X is telling me to do this. So therefore, maybe it isn't such a good idea. And so it gives you that little bit of separation so that you can say, hey, that's just my part X. It's doing what it always does, making me feel miserable, but I don't have to listen to it. I'm going to chill out a little bit and be creative and be curious.
And sometimes by no fault of our own, other voices and other people have probably emboldened and fed that part X in our minds, because for me, I hear a a parental figure when I'm resting sometimes. Boy, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah. I was thinking like, oh, there goes my dad.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Part X is embodied by my grandfather. Boy, get off that couch and get something done. Oh my word. Well, Mitch, this has just been wonderful having this conversation with you. If people want to connect, how can they connect with you?
Well, so my website is mindshiftingwithmitch.com. And I think for a business owner is probably the best thing is the book, which is Mind Shifting, Stop Your Brain from Sabotaging Your Happiness and Success. And that has a lot of the mind tricks that I've been talking about. That book, it's basically available on Amazon, but you can go to the website and that'll have the link to Amazon. And then I have a newsletter also that you can also access from the website.
Awesome. We'll have all those links in the show notes here for folks as well. But go over there, get that book, get connected with Mitch, get his newsletter, because listen, you can buy every system, software, tool in the world, but if the mind that's operating those tools isn't in a healthy place, you're just not going to get the benefit that you're supposed to get out of it. It really does start with the way we think.
And I would say, if as a small business owner, if the best thing that you can do is probably join one of your mastermind groups, because you're going to get that, once, twice a month. And it's that consistency that builds the practices that allow you to be successful. So I would, I've looked through what you're doing in the mastermind groups. That's exactly the things that business people need.
I appreciate that. It's been a lifesaver for me. That's why I offer it. I offer things that works for me. That's, everything I'm doing is basically, hey, this tool has helped me, or this book has helped me, or this author has helped me. And definitely, Masterminds has been a godsend for getting me in a room with other like-minded people that I can learn from them. They can learn from me. And it's amazing as we get together and I understand from different perspectives. It's the same problem, but maybe from a different perspective. It's just light bulbs just go off. And I say, oh, that's how you solve that. So, well, thank you so much for being on the show, sir.
Well, thank you, Terry. Thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Absolutely.
You're a master.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to TerryWilson3.com, the home of TW3.
Man, that dude is crazy.
Running a business is tough, your to-do list never ends, and the phone keeps ringing. What if you could focus on your daily operations without worrying about missed calls? At TW3, we've got you covered with our 24/7 call answering service, starting at just $25 per month. Here's how it works. When your phone rings, our team answers every call, takes the caller's name, number, email, and reason for calling. We can even handle basic customer support, answering frequently asked questions about your business, or book appointments for you right on the spot. But it doesn't stop there. We'll immediately send you a text or email with all the details so you can follow up at your convenience if needed. Our service also filters out spam calls, giving you more time to focus on what really matters, growing your business. And here's the best part. With 24/7 availability, your customers get the help they need anytime, day or night, leaving a lasting impression of professionalism and care. Don't let missed calls slow you down. Call us at 864-507-9696 to schedule a quick demo and see how our award-winning service can work for you. Your time is valuable. Let us help you protect it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I had a wonderful time, and I want to tell you, go over there, get his book, go to his website, get connected with him. He's a wonderful guy. You can also come, and if you want to talk to us about becoming part of our mastermind, we definitely can do that. And we got some free resources, by the way. We've got some new listings that we're going to list you on listing platforms to help promote your business. So if you'd like to take part in that, it's totally free. And we've actually got some memberships, some business memberships that we're offering for free as well. And if you become a member of some of these business networks and organizations, you get a free website and stuff, which is really cool. Just more ways for people to connect with you online and hear about your business. So connect with us over there. You can go to TerryWilson3.com, go into the bottom right-hand corner, ask my chatbot anything, and you can get that information sent to you just by going to TerryWilson3.com and talking to my chatbot. So until next time, we'll talk to you later.
So we hope you've got a lot out of the content today. Please take a few minutes to give us a 5-star positive review at TerryWilson3.com/review. This helps us promote our content and continue to reach more and more people. Again, thanks for being part of the TW3 community here at TerryWilson3.com. Please like and share our content, and we will see you soon.
This story comes from Chapter 9 entitled, Sometimes People Get Stuck.
Sometimes in life, people get stuck at times, caught up in situations they can't quite see their way out of it. I remember one day after school when I walked into such a moment myself. As I stepped off the school bus, I heard this loud banging noise as soon as I walked through the front door of the house. And it was coming from a room somewhere just beyond the kitchen. Curious, I made my way toward the sound. When I got to the kitchen, I found my mom and grandfather standing there, shaking their heads in frustration. My grandfather was sipping on his coffee, and neither one of them looked too thrilled with whatever was happening in the other room. So, naturally, I asked him, "What's all that noise?" Without even looking up, my grandfather just pointed toward the restroom off the kitchen and said, "You'll have to go see for yourself." So I walked over to the restroom, opened the door, and there it was. Inside was this gentleman my mom had hired to move our old metal bathtub. But here's the thing. He was standing inside the tub while trying to lift it out. And his wife, bless her heart, was there too, standing on the side, cheering him on. "You almost got it," she kept yelling. I could barely keep from laughing. I quickly stepped back and shut the door before they could see me. I went right back to my grandfather, still shaking in my head in disbelief. "Why don't you tell him that won't work?" I asked. "He's literally standing in the bathtub while trying to lift it." And my grandfather, without even looking up from his coffee, just grinned a little and said, "Oh boy, we've been trying to tell him, but he won't listen." I couldn't believe it. Then why is he still trying? So I asked. My grandfather took a slow sip of his coffee, looked up at me with that familiar half smile and said, "Because, son, he's stuck on stupid.
Hey, we all can get stuck sometimes and do things that later we feel stupid about. This story comes from Chapter 9 entitled, Sometimes People Get Stuck. Get unstuck today. Go to yourworthmorebook.com and get a free sample copy of You Are Worth More.